according to the police report. At 6:52 a.m., 4 people were drowning simultaneously. At 6:53, the elderly pool cleaner entered the water. By 6:57, all 4 were safe. 4 minutes, 1 woman, 0 equipment. It defied the laws of physics. Until someone noticed the faded tattoo on her arm. The only easy day was yesterday. The Navy SEAL motto. The morning shift at San Diego Swimming Complex was quiet as always. As the sun barely crested the horizon, Margaret Thorne pushed her cleaning cart to the poolside, beginning her daily routine. 68 years old, slightly hunched, her gray hair pulled into the same tight bun as always. Her hands were roughened from years of chemical exposure. She'd been cleaning this pool for 10 years, and no one knew much about her. The university swim team that used the pool in the early morning hours had begun their warm-up laps. 4 young athletes, Jason, Maria, Derek, and Stephanie, had arrived before their coach. Margaret saw them every morning. Arrogant, strong, overconfident youth. Sometimes they'd joke with the old woman. "Hey Margaret, want to swim with us?" They'd tease. She'd just smile, nod, and continue her work. That morning was different. Young lifeguard Tommy was still half asleep, sipping his coffee while scrolling through his phone. The second lifeguard, Lisa, had just emerged from the shower, walking toward her station. Margaret was in the far corner of the pool, working with the surface cleaner as always. Stephanie screamed. A cramp had seized her leg in the deep end, 4 meters deep. She began thrashing in panic. Jason tried to help her, but Stephanie's panicked arms pulled him under too. Derek and Maria rushed to help. 4 swimmers tangled together, all going down at once. "They're drowning." Tommy's scream tore through the morning silence. The young lifeguard grabbed a life preserver, but his hands were shaking. He didn't know how to save 4 people at once. Lisa came running, prepared to dive in, but Tommy stopped her. "All 4 are panicking. They'll pull you down too." Margaret set down her cleaning pole. No one quite remembered when she moved. One moment she was at the pool's edge, the next, still in her coveralls, shoes still on, she had dove into the water. Her movement underwater was unnatural, impossible for a 68-year-old woman. She advanced with powerful, economical strokes. She reached Stephanie first. The young woman tried to flail her arms in panic, but Margaret subdued her with a single motion, a neck hold, but gentle. While holding Stephanie, she reached for Derek, catching him too. Tommy stood frozen. How is this possible? Margaret was now holding 2 people with one arm, swimming toward Jason with the other. Combat side stroke, a technique only Navy SEALs use, with one hand stabilizing 3 people. She kicked herself and them upward. She took Maria into rescue position. 4 people, 1 woman, 0 assistance. 6:55. Margaret was still underwater. Lisa screamed, "She's been down too long. Someone call 911. 6:56. The surface rippled. Margaret brought all 4 youths to the surface in a controlled manner. All were coughing but breathing. The old woman pulled them toward the pool edge, as if they weighed nothing. 6:57. All 4 were at the poolside, safe. Margaret remained in the water, taking calm breaths. Her coveralls had become heavy, her gray hair disheveled, but there was a strange calm in her eyes. Tommy extended his hand to her, helping her out of the water. "How did you do that?" Lisa's voice trembled. Margaret shrugged. Just swimming. Just swimming. You saved 4 people. You were underwater for almost 5 minutes. 4 minutes 23 seconds. Margaret corrected, checking her watch. Timing matters. Jason coughed, sitting up, looking at the old woman, really looking for the first time. Despite her hunched posture, her shoulders were broad. Those hands hadn't just held cleaning supplies. There was muscle memory in those hands, and on her arm, visible under the wet coveralls, a faded tattoo. The only easy day was yesterday. You're a Navy SEAL," Jason whispered. Everyone around the pool froze. Margaret silently wrung out her coveralls, watching the water drip. "Former," she said finally. Long time ago. Tommy pulled out his phone with trembling hands. I should call an ambulance. They need to be checked. Blankets first for hypothermia, Margaret instructed, her voice tone suddenly different. There was authority in that voice. Command habit. Check Stephanie's pulse. Might be irregular. Derek's left ankle is injured. Stabilize it. Maria's hyperventilating. Calm her. Jason, you're fine, but sit down and drink water anyway. The lifeguards automatically began following orders, then stopped, realizing they were taking commands from the cleaning lady. Who are you? Lisa asked. Margaret began walking away. Just the pool cleaner. No, wait. Stephanie tried to stand. You saved our lives. At least your name. Margaret, the woman said without stopping. Just Margaret. But Jason had already opened Google. Navy SEAL woman. Margaret San Diego. Search results appeared. His eyes widened. My God. Master Chief Margaret Thorne. First female Navy SEAL. Bud says Class 234. SEAL Team 4. Then Dev grew. Silver Star, Bronze Star. Navy Cross. Codename Poseidon. Margaret stopped, her shoulders tensing. Stayed underwater for 36 hours in Afghanistan. Jason continued reading. Single-handedly executed a 12-person hostage rescue. In Iraq. Enough. Margaret's voice was calm but firm. She turned, looking at the young people. That woman retired in 2014. Post-traumatic stress, they said. Maladjustment, they said. Maybe they were right. That woman is gone. But why? Maria had stood up, wrapped in a blanket. Why a pool cleaner? Someone like you. A bitter smile crossed Margaret's face. Someone like me. What do you know about someone like me? 42 confirmed missions. Over 200 lives saved. And she paused. 17 lost. Under my command. My responsibility. Silence fell. Only the hum of pool filters could be heard. Water, Margaret said finally. Looking at the pool. Water always made sense. You clean it, balance it, protect it. You don't lose anyone. No one dies because of you. She stopped. Tommy stepped forward. But today you saved 4 people. Reflex, Margaret said. Just reflex. Ambulance sirens approached. Margaret walked toward her cleaning cart. Tell them an old woman heroically threw herself into the water. They don't need to know the rest. Wait. Stephanie ran up to her. At least, let me thank you. For all of us. Margaret stopped. She looked at the young woman. There was a softening in her eyes. You're welcome, but do me a favor. Anything. Forget. Just Margaret, the pool cleaner. Nothing else. Stephanie nodded, but her fingers clutched her phone. Margaret noticed, smiled slightly. Gen Z, she murmured. Have to share everything on social media. I won't share, Stephanie said quickly. I promise. But at least let me know. Those missions, those rescues. How does someone walk away from such a life? Margaret was silent for a long time. The ambulance had parked. Paramedics running over. Rhode Island, 2013, she said finally. Night dive. Routine reconnaissance. With my team, 6 people. They'd set an ambush. I survived. Her voice cracked. I hid underwater for 19 hours. Used reeds to breathe. Waited until the enemy stopped searching for bodies. For 19 hours, my team, my friends. No tears, just emptiness. Deep, infinite emptiness. After that day, water felt different. Every dive, I saw them. Every mission, I heard their voices. I had a 100% success rate in operations. But that night, I failed. And a commander cannot forgive the unforgivable. The paramedics had begun checking the young people. Margaret quietly walked away. Master Chief Thorne, a voice stopped her. A young paramedic getting out of the ambulance, notable for his military bearing. He saluted. Lieutenant Harris, Navy Medical Corps, retired. But, it's an honor, ma'am. Margaret didn't return it, but nodded slightly. My father spoke of you, Harris said. He was a Bud SES instructor. Said women couldn't make it through. You proved him wrong. And how? Top of your class. Another life, Margaret said. Another person. Harris extended his hand. Margaret hesitated, then shook it. The young Met's face filled with surprise. That handshake, like steel. Age and appearance were deceiving. "Ma'am, if you're ever needed again, I won't be," Margaret said with finality. "I just clean pools, that's all." The next day it was in the local news. Elderly woman saves 4 university students from drowning. Margaret's name wasn't mentioned, at her request, but the internet doesn't forget. Someone had seen Jason's search history, taken a screenshot. It went viral. 3 days later, Margaret came to work as usual. The pool was closed. The manager was waiting for her, with 2 men in suits beside him. "Margaret," the manager said, "these gentlemen want to speak with you." One of the suited men stepped forward. "Master Chief Thorne, I'm Commander Mitchell, Special Operations Command. We're not here to recruit you back, he paused, "just to thank you." Margaret waited. "One of those 4 young people you saved, Maria Rodriguez, is the daughter of Rear Admiral Rodriguez, Pacific Fleet Commander." Margaret's expression didn't change. "The Admiral wanted to thank you personally, but knew you wouldn't want that. So he sent us. And this." He handed her a small box. Margaret didn't open it. "Please, open it," Mitchell said. Inside was no medal, no insignia, just a small card. "A seal is always a seal. Your family hasn't forgotten you." Team 4 inches. Margaret's hand trembled. For the first time it trembled. "Also," Mitchell continued, "if you'd like, there's a swimming instructor position at the SEAL training facilities. Unofficial. Just, if you want to share your experience." "No," Margaret said immediately. Then softer, "No, I'm good here." Mitchell nodded. "Understood. But I want you to know, the way you saved those young people, I saw the video. Security camera footage. In my 27-year career, I've never seen anything like it. 4 minutes 23 seconds. 4 people, alone, at 68 years old. Training," Margaret said. "Just training." "Not training," Mitchell corrected. "Instinct. And instinct never dies." After the 2 men left, Margaret looked at the pool. The water was clear, calm. Her reflection looked back at her. Old, tired, broken, but still there, still alive. That night, for the first time in years, Margaret Thorne slept. She didn't dream. She didn't see her drowning friends. She just slept. And when she woke in the morning, for the first time, she felt perhaps those she'd saved were beginning to balance those she couldn't. The next week the pool reopened. Margaret was there as always, with her cleaning cart. The university swim team came to practice. Jason, Maria, Derek, and Stephanie. They stopped when they saw her. "Good morning, Margaret," they said in unison. "Morning, kids," she replied. "Will you swim with us?" Stephanie asked. This time she wasn't joking. She was serious. Margaret shook her head. "I just watch." "Well, but," Derek said, "if we start drowning again." "Don't drown," Margaret said, then added, almost smiling. "First rule we learned in Hell Week: panic kills. Stay calm, stay alive." "You passed Hell Week," Maria said with admiration. "As the first woman." "Second," Margaret corrected. "First on official records, but second. The first, that's another story." "Will you tell us?" Jason asked. Margaret picked up her cleaning pole, returned to work. "Maybe someday. Now swim. Water temperature is ideal. 26 degrees. Perfect for muscle performance." The young people dove in. Margaret watched them. Every stroke, every breath. Habit. A SEAL always watches, evaluates, protects. In the afternoon, when the pool had quieted, an old man arrived. He walked with a cane, his right leg dragging. Margaret recognized him immediately. Her heart stopped. "Hello, Poseidon," the man said. "Hello, Hammerhead," Margaret replied. "Long time, Jack." Former teammate Jack Morrison sat at the pool's edge, saw the news. Typical Maggie. Hero even in retirement. "Not a hero," Margaret said. Yes I know, just a pool cleaner." Jack laughed, but it was bitter. "We all became cleaners of something, didn't we? You clean pools, I clean bars, Tom." "What did Tom clean?" "His conscience," Margaret said quietly. "Every night." "Yes," Jack nodded. "After Rhoda we all tried to clean something." They sat in silence. 2 old warriors who'd learned to live with their losses. "I still see them," Jack said finally. In the water, every shower, every rain. Me too, Margaret admitted. But now I don't just see them. I see those 4 kids too. The living ones. Balance, Jack said. That's what the shrink called it. You must find balance. Maybe, Margaret said. Or maybe we just keep going, doing what we can. Jack stood up, with difficulty. Good to see you again, Maggie. Really. You too, Jack. As the man walked away, he turned. You know they were going to make you Master Chief. If you weren't a woman, you'd be an admiral. If I weren't a woman, Margaret said, I wouldn't be me. Jack smiled. You're right. Right as always. Evening was coming. Margaret checked the pool one last time. Pursed balance. Perfect. Chlorine level ideal. Everything in its place. As she wheeled her cleaning cart to storage, a young girl came running. About 10–11 years old. Excuse me. Are you Margaret? The one who cleans the pool? Yes. My mom said I should see you. I want to learn to swim but I'm scared. Mom said you could help. Margaret looked at the little girl. There was fear in her eyes, but also determination. Who's your mom? Stephanie Chen. Last week. Ah, Margaret understood. One of the young people I pulled out. Yes, she said you do. Magic in the water. Margaret knelt down, meeting the girl's eyes. Not magic, science, and practice. Lots of practice. Will you teach me? I'm not an instructor, just a pool cleaner. I know, but Mom said you're special. Margaret stood up. Something stirred inside her. The teaching instinct. The desire to pass on knowledge. Saturday, she said finally. 7 a.m. If you're serious. The girl jumped excitedly. I'm serious. Very serious. Thank you. As she ran off, Margaret called after her. What's your name? Lily. Lily, Margaret repeated. Beautiful name, like a water lily. The next Saturday, Lily came, scared but determined. Margaret first taught her to know the water, to touch it, feel it, understand it. Water isn't the enemy, she said. Water is just water. If you respect it, it respects you. Is that how seals learn? Margaret paused. Seals learn to conquer water. I'm teaching you to be friends with it. Which is better? Friendship, Margaret said without thinking. Always friendship. Weeks passed. Lily progressed. First she floated, then she swam, then she dove. Margaret watched her, guided her, protected her, just as she once protected her team. One day Lily asked, Margaret, were you really a Navy SEAL? Yes. Why did you quit? Margaret didn't answer for a long time. Then sometimes, Lily, the bravest thing isn't to fight. Sometimes the bravest thing is knowing when to stop. But you didn't stop. You saved my mom. That was different. That was reflex. You're training me too. Is that also reflex? Margaret smiled. A real smile. No, this might be a new beginning. By year's end, Lily was swimming well enough to compete. Margaret sat in the stands, watching. Lily came in third. After receiving her medal, she ran to Margaret. Because of you. No, Margaret said, because of you. You worked. You succeeded. But you taught me. I just showed the way. You walked it. That night, as Margaret went home, she checked her phone. Her old number, unused for years. There was a message from the Navy. Master Chief Thorne, Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell, was killed in action in Iraq on December 5th. She mentioned you in her will. Funeral tomorrow, Miramar National Cemetery. Margaret stopped. Sarah Mitchell, she remembered her. Young, eager, fearless. The last person to join her team before Rhoda. The only other survivor. She went to the funeral. She didn't wear her uniform. She stood in the back, in the shadows. Sarah's family was in the front row. Speeches were made about heroism, duty, sacrifice. When the ceremony ended, an elderly woman approached Margaret, Sarah's mother. You're Maggie, aren't you? Sarah talked about you so much. I'm sorry, Margaret said, for your loss. She saw you as a hero. Always said, Maggie showed us the way. Women can do it too, she said, and proved it. Margaret's eyes filled. I never told her about Rhoda. She didn't need you to. She knew. She'd researched it. And she always said, Maggie survived, because she needed to survive. For us, for future generations. That night,
Margaret thought long and hard. Sarah, Lily, Stephanie, and the others. Maybe Jack was right. Maybe this was balance, lightening the pain of those lost, with those saved, those taught. Monday morning, she went to the pool as usual, but this time she carried something extra. Old SEAL training manuals. She went to the manager. A proposal, she said. 2 days a week volunteer, water safety and survival training. For kids. The manager was surprised. You're not an instructor. Margaret handed him a paper. All her certifications, medals, achievements. The manager's eyes grew wide. My God, you're a legend. No, Margaret said, just alive. And maybe it's time to turn that into something meaningful. The program started. First week, 3 kids came. Second week, 10. By month's end the class was full. Margaret taught them not just swimming, but water survival, panic control, breathing techniques, rescue positions. One day, in the middle of class, a group of men entered the pool. Their military bearing was obvious. Margaret recognized them. SEAL Team 4, New Generation. Master Chief, their leader, said, "With your permission, we'd like to observe." Margaret nodded. She continued. She was teaching the children drown-proofing, hands tied, feet tied, surviving in water. This technique, she explained to the children, is something you'll never need, but if you do, it will save your life. One of the SEALs stepped forward. "Master Chief, could you demonstrate?" Margaret paused, then nodded. She had her hands tied behind her back, had her feet tied, jumped in the water. 10 minutes. No struggle, just technique. Perfect technique. When she emerged, the entire SEAL team was saluting. The children watched in amazement. "Kids," the team leader said, "you just witnessed history." Master Chief Thorne holds the Budos record for this test. 47 minutes. 48. Margaret corrected quietly. But who's counting? After the SEALs left, a small boy asked, "Teacher Margaret, are you a superhero?" "No," Margaret said, "I'm just someone who trained a lot." "But superheroes train too," the child insisted. Margaret laughed. "Maybe you're right." Years passed. Margaret's program grew. Hundreds of children learned from her. Some became swimmers, some lifeguards. A few joined the Navy. One, Lily, became a SEAL, the first female underwater demolition specialist. When Margaret turned 75, she was still at the pool, no longer swimming, but teaching, watching, protecting. One day, a former student visited. "Now Lieutenant Lily Chen." "Master Chief," she said, "I came to thank you." "For what?" "Everything. But especially for teaching me that water can be a friend." Margaret nodded. "Water treats everyone the same, Lily. Fair, merciless but fair. Just like you." "I'm not fair," Margaret said. "I just seek balance." "Did you find it?" Margaret looked at the pool. Clear water, blue reflections, children swimming inside, laughing, playing, learning. "Maybe," she said, "maybe I did." That night, Margaret wrote in her journal, "For the first time in years, today is the 10th anniversary of Rhoda. It still hurts. It will always hurt. But now it's not just pain. There's pride too. For those I saved. For those I taught. For those who could continue. Thompson, Ramirez, Johnson, Williams, Davis, Anderson. I haven't forgotten you. I never will. But now I remember not just your deaths, but your lives, your laughter, your jokes, your courage. And I know that if you had lived, you would do what I'm doing. You would continue. You would teach. You would protect. The only easy day was yesterday. But today is a little easier." When morning came, Margaret went to the pool, as always, prepared her cleaning cart, checked the pH, and waited. At 6:52 her phone rang. Emergency. A boat had capsized at the beach. Many people in the water. Coast Guard wouldn't make it in time. Margaret hung up, set down her cleaning pole, ran to her car. 6 minutes later, she was at the beach. Chaos reigned. An overturned tour boat. At least 20 people in the water. Waves rising. She didn't hesitate. 75 years old. Arthritic. Tired. But still Margaret Thorne. Still Poseidon. She dove into the water. The first she saved was a small child. Then his mother. Then an elderly man. One by one. Methodical. Calm. Each time deeper. Farther. 45 minutes later, 17 people had been rescued. Margaret collapsed to her knees on the beach, gasping. "There are still 3 people," someone shouted. Margaret stood. She was tired. Everything hurt, but there were still 3 people. She dove again. This time it was different. The waves were stronger, the current harder. 3 young people, tangled together, panicking. Margaret reached them, calmed them, organized them, and began swimming. But she was 75, and tired, and 3 people were very heavy. Halfway her strength began failing, but she didn't let go. Seals don't quit. At that moment, other shapes appeared in the water. Lily and her team. "New generation seals. We've got them, Master Chief," Lily shouted. "No," Margaret said. Together, and together, they swam. Old and young, past and future. They carried the 3 people safely to shore. On the beach, Margaret lay on the sand. She looked at the sky. Blue, clear, infinite. "How are you, Master Chief?" Lily asked worriedly. "Good," Margaret said. "Just tired." The ambulance arrived. They checked Margaret. Irregular heartbeat. Low blood pressure. They needed to take her to the hospital. 5 minutes, Margaret said. "Just 5 minutes here." She sat on the sand, watched the ocean, waves coming and going. "Eternal rhythm. You know, Lily," she said. "All my life I've sought balance, between those I lost and those I saved. And today I understood. There is no balance. There's just continuing. One wave ends, another begins. Infinite cycle. Are you sad?" "No," Margaret said, smiling. "No, because every wave is a chance, a new beginning, a new rescue." As she was loaded into the ambulance, the crowd gathered on the beach, began applauding. Those rescued, their families, witnesses. "Hero," someone shouted. Margaret shook her head. "Just an old pool cleaner," she murmured. But Lily heard, and smiled, because she knew. Some heroes don't wear uniforms. Some have no medals. Some just are there, when needed, always. At the hospital, as they treated Margaret, the nurse asked, "What's your occupation?" Margaret thought, then answered, "Swimming instructor." "Just that." "Yes," Margaret said. "Just that, and it's enough." That night, in her hospital room, Margaret dreamed, but this time it was different. Her teammates from Rhoda were there, but they weren't drowning. They were swimming, with her, smiling. "Good job, Poseidon," Thompson said. "We're proud," Ramirez said. "Keep going," the others said. When Margaret woke, her eyes were wet, but for the first time, these weren't tears of sorrow. There was a knock. High-ranking Navy officers entered. Admiral Rodriguez, leading. "Master Chief Thorne," he said formally, "for your heroism today." "No," Margaret said. "Please, I don't want any more medals." "Not a medal," the Admiral said, smiling. "An offer." Margaret waited. "Chief Advisor for the SEAL Training Program. Unofficial, just sharing your experience with the new generation, especially female candidates." Margaret thought. She was 75, tired. "But one condition," she said. "What?" "I keep my pool cleaning job." The Admiral laughed. "Deal." And so Margaret Thorne, at 75, began a new chapter. Mornings cleaning pools, afternoons teaching children to swim, evenings mentoring SEAL candidates. One day, a young female candidate asked her, "Master Chief, what is fear?" Margaret thought. "Fear," she said, "is being at the bottom of the water without breath. But courage is diving anyway, because someone needs you." "Were you never afraid?" "Always," Margaret said. "Every dive, every mission, every loss. But fear didn't stop me. It just made me more careful." Years passed. Margaret aged but didn't stop, until at 82, one morning, at the poolside, cleaning pole in hand, she passed away peacefully. Lily found her. There was a peaceful smile on her face. Thousands came to her funeral. SEALs, those she'd saved, her students. Speeches were made, but the most meaningful was from a small child. "Margaret taught me to swim, but more importantly, she taught me to get up when I fall." Because she'd say, "Water can drown you, but only if you let it." Her headstone read, "Margaret Poseidon, Thorne, Master Chief, U.S. Navy SEALs, 1947 to 2029. The only easy day was yesterday, but today we saved lives too." And every year on the anniversary of her death, at the San Diego pool, a tradition began. At 6:52, the time of that first rescue, Everyone drops a rose in the water, not for those lost, for those saved. Because Margaret Thorne wasn't just a Navy SEAL, wasn't just a hero. She was a bridge between past and future, between loss and hope, between drowning and swimming. And bridges never really disappear. They just become paths for others to cross. The end.